Welcome to the Grit City Podcast. I am Justin.
I'm Scott.
I'm Jeff.
And we are here today with Amber and Nathan from Finley Mimbles.
Oh, good job.
Thank you. Yeah, the production company based out of Tacoma. Tell us a little bit about Finley. Finley.
Yes.
I did it once.
Yes, I love it.
I got it once, so we're good. Finley Mimbles. Like if I say it quickly and I don't think about it.
I screwed it up like 4 times when I first met them at the door. I was, you guys are the Nimble Fimbly people? Yeah. They're like, oh, you dummy. That was the first thing.
So tell us a little bit about your production company.
You go first, Amber.
Oh, gosh. Okay. We are a film production company. We make movies. We're based in Tacoma. And we started, so me and Nathan have been making movies together for like over 10 years now.
Oh, neat.
Oh, wow.
So we kind of started together, but then we have like a group of friends who all make movies too.
So nice, a collective out of Tacoma then really, essentially?
Yeah.
So at this point, I think, Finley Mimbles is really sort of a collective of just like artists of all sorts of different kinds. We've got, actors, writers, everyone's sort of directing now.
Oh, fun.
So it's sort of kind of grown, and we're sort of, what else do you want to say about it? It's a small production company from Tacoma, and so we're just kind of still getting started. We're figuring it out.
We
And,
get it, man.
yeah.
We started with 2 people doing this, and now we have 5 or
We've
6.
doubled it.
Yeah, at least.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And then depending, So I guess, 5 or 6 depending on when we have people doing stuff with us. We're not. But it's fun because it's one of those things where you get to create. And how did you, started 10 years ago, how did you guys, was it school? Was it just meeting up for like meetups? How did you guys
It
end
had
up
to be
meeting up?
school. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So we went to the same Tacoma School of the Arts together, and we were both doing film stuff. We actually kind of film rivals for a while.
Ooh,
Nice. We like a little rivalry here.
Yeah.
It's fun. Right?
Yeah, it breeds the creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's good competition.
No, we're still rivals, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good with that.
I love it. He's like, no, we're still competing, and I'm winning. So,
So where did the name Finley Mimbles come from?
Oh, that's classified.
Classified. It's a very interesting name. Just to
absolutely.
It kind of does roll off the tongue once you get used to.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Tacoma.
yeah. See, and you said we weren't going to hear this anymore.
I know.
Yeah, you can't get away from
Goodness
that.
Yeah, the ghost of Malarkeys will haunt us forever.
I think it's beautiful. That's why we podcast.
So where did
I'll actually give you a little bit on
Nice.
Finley Mimbles. So the name itself is like how we thought of it. I think that's kind of our secret. But
Oh, you're not going to tell it? It's really a secret?
I think for us we had it had a nice ring as far as like sort of, I think, we're very big Monty Python fans, and I feel like for
Nice.
us it was sort of like our version of that, something that didn't necessarily mean anything to anybody.
but
I
it
think
does
we're
mean
real-
something to you.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Yeah. So something that's like silly and a little off, and I think that's sort of
Yeah,
our,
but like
our
the
style.
sort of made up word sounds, and everyone at the time was like, "You need something basic like Oracle Productions." I was like, "That's boring.
Yeah.
Something.
That's
yeah.
not memorable."
Right.
For-
Yeah.
For us, I'd rather people stumble over
Yeah.
something because
Because once they get it, they're going to be very
Yeah.
happy that they get it. You see how happy I was when I said it right the first time? And how crushed I was when I couldn't do it again.
It really does attract attention, though, because like I got the email from your marketer or whoever it was, right?
Mhm.
And I put you guys on the calendar, and then I was telling him, he's like, "Who else are we doing?" And I was like, Finley Mimbles.
There you go.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Finley Mimbles.
Finley Mimbles.
God damn.
So it's
Finley
here's an
Mimbles.
easy way to remember. So Finley, like the name, just
Mhm.
Finley, and then Mimbles is like mumbles. So it's like just with an I.
Oh,
so
Finley Mimbles.
Oh.
Finley Mimbles is
Okay.
the name. It's a little easier. You break
Yeah.
it down. You got to break it down a little bit.
That'll help me. I was just kidding. But yeah, I told him, I was like, Finley Mimbles. And he's like, what is that? I'm all, Finley Mimbles, look it up. And he's like, what is that? I'm all,
And
you
so
have to Google it.
And so it was fun. And I looked it up. And the big thing that, if you look on social media, it's simple to find Facebook / Finley Mimbles, FinleyMimbles. Same thing on Twitter. And then you have the Village of Middlevale.com, which was your feature length mockumentary that you did. Now, did you guys create the idea of that within all, everybody, like the between both of you guys, or with everybody as a big concerted effort?
Well, a lot of the movie was like improv, but it was
fun.
sort of the seeded idea came from me and Nathan. Well,
Oh yeah, let's. I'll
Yeah,
take
tell
a
us a little
step
bit about
back.
yeah. Go ahead.
So I might get the timeline a little bit wrong. It's been a little bit.
Well, let's tell
of a
everyone
while.
what it was first. The Village of Middlevale. It's a mockumentary, and it's a guy who essentially wants. When I see it, when I watch the trailer and looking at it, it's like a guy wants to create his own Ren Fair. And he brings along anyone who he feels would want to go along with this. And some people have different visions of what they feel that this town should be, and some of them directly clash with the man who has created it on his own. Correct?
Absolutely.
Nice.
that's
And I feel like taking a step back as far as like our production company and how that relates a little bit is I think we were to a point where we were just really kind of getting started, and I think we were trying to find a project that was like maybe a little ambitious for what we we're we're used to at the time, and so we decided to sort of make a feature film. And I think at that time especially, we had just we were not necessarily, we were kind of fresh out of college at that point, and we really wanted to do something big. And we have a bunch of really talented friends and things like that, and we're really big, medieval nerds and a little bit, we're a little bit nerdy and things like that. And
Which
so
is the Pacific Northwest is a really great place for that. You've got the SCA. We've had the dystopian guys on.
You're in good company, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do Norwest Con every year, right? We've had the SCA guys, like you
Mhm.
said. Who
Right
else?
on.
Dude, we've had
Yeah.
we've had authors on who,
Joseph Malik.
yeah,
Who
Oh,
gets
cool.
into the super technical of his fantasy
oh,
world.
right on.
He goes super nerd with it, and it's great.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what the Ren Fair stuff happens with that.
yeah. The idea really started actually because we wanted to throw our own Ren Fair.
of course you did.
We're like,
that's
let's
really-
throw a big medieval party, and we're like, wait,
That sounds like a huge
that's
waste of
probably a
our
big waste of
time.
money.
Like aren't we supposed to be filmmakers? So
So you make a movie about
made
it.
a movie about
We
it.
have actual, and then that's the funny part is, it's like, we can go out to the set and we can create these sets and we can do these things, and then we also have something to show for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the idea was, we'd build a set, make the movie, and then we'd have the set, so then we could throw a party. But
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think at the time we didn't realize that movies are really exhausting, and we never actually, I don't think, ever threw a party out there or anything.
So kind of put that into perspective, because a lot of people, they'll just see the finished product. Maybe they'll look at some of the behind the scenes stuff, which doesn't show the amount of people it takes to create a production like this. So there's got to be a lot of work involved with that.
oh yeah, we had a lot of obstacles, and because we started filming in the winter originally,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were trying to build sets, and it was raining, and the actors were cold, and everyone was getting sick, and
Oh yeah.
yeah.
We learned a lot on this movie. Yeah, like I said, we had never obviously tackled something that big before, and it took a couple tries. It was a lot of tenacity and honestly a lot of patience with our friends and our family and everybody working on the movie, just sort of us figuring it out as we went. So it was a huge learning experience, and but honestly, I'm very proud of how it turned out. So.
And can people see it now? How are people able to view it?
Right, we're working on that.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got a grant from the Grand Cinema.
Oh yeah.
They had the filmmaker grant they did for the first time. So we got the finishing funds grant because we did a cut of Middlevale, the festival cut that we called
Mhm.
it. We showed it in a bunch of festivals, and then we wanted to get online distribution, but we kind of wanted to make some tweaks after having seen it
Mm-hmm.
1,000 times. So we kind of needed a little more money for that. So we ended up getting the grant. And then now the last couple months we've been working on actually like re-recording some of the music and doing
fun.
some editing tweaks, like really doing a lot of work to the sound, like adding more Foley and things like that.
So as one of the big giant things that we decided to tackle for this, our first feature film was our good friend Bronson Bragg, who's a local musician. He has a band called Bess. They play around town. They're really great.
Nice.
But yeah, we've always composed together. He's always been the composer on a lot of our films, and we decided that we were going to record original music for the whole thing. And being medieval, that can be a little difficult, and we definitely wanted to go in an angle that wasn't
like something
it wasn't computer, it wasn't synthesizer. We were talking like real strings and things like that. So he ended up composing and handwriting a lot of the music, the original cut, and
wow.
We just honestly didn't have enough money to really make it sound the way that I think Bronson was satisfied, and I think, and so when we got a little bit of money, we're like, well, the music is it deserves to be as good as you want it to be. So we kind of decided to put a little bit of our funds towards that.
Nice.
And get to like really experience the music as he intended it to be.
And I mean, it's a good point though, because as film students and now as filmmakers, you guys do know how important it is for music, because the music is that subconscious guide for the movie, and that it tells you almost where your feelings are supposed to be, or where the director wants your feelings to be as the movie's progressing.
Absolutely.
That is great.
And also, I guess I'll drop a few other names.
Yeah,
so,
do it, please. Anyone you want to thank for this? Like,
absolutely. So, huge help on this, our recut of this film has also been our friend Laura Nyhughes, who is she has her own company, Nyhughes Creative, and she's a local artist, film producer. She used to be the director for the Tacoma Film Festival for many years.
Neat. Okay.
And so she's been extremely helpful. She's actually the one that got us in contact with you guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's the one that reached out.
Oh, okay,
So,
cool.
yeah,
That's
emails back
awesome.
and forth,
Yeah, super shout out to her then at that point. I love the fact that you were able to do, like, all of this stuff is local, and I mean even able to get money from the Grand Cinema. We've had Wade on a couple of times talking.
Yeah, Wade's great.
Yeah, Wade's great with the film festival, but also like with just the crazy things they do at the Weird Elephant.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of beating myself up because I missed going to the American Psycho.
I went there last night.
Did you? Okay. So did they have the sing along with the 80s?
They did.
Really? So what went down with that?
I just caught the end of it, unfortunately.
Did you dress up in a business suit?
I was dressed up. I did. Yeah.
Nice.
I did.
I love it.
See, man, I always miss those. I always miss them. Every time I see them, and I'm either doing something or I catch it the day late.
Yeah.
Like I jump on Facebook and it's like, oh, you missed this last night.
This,
I'm like, damn it.
this was a thing that did
Always.
occur.
Yeah.
They have a lot of fun with that. I love going to those. I love going to the Friday Night Frights down at the Blue Mouse. Like, Tacoma has a really fun kind of low-key theater vibe with it, and it's really neat to be able to experience some of those things. Even going to when we went to the Weird Elephant, the one that we did make was going to see The Room. And like I didn't realize that they had turned that into an interactive movie, and so people were throwing spoons everywhere, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this is a thing. Sweet, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I love Tacoma's art scene, and I never want to leave. I don't want to go to LA or Seattle or
like, because you want to be able to create what you want to create, and being able to do that also means there's taking, like, you don't want to go to the LA machine and all of that stuff. It's fun. Are you guys both originally from Tacoma?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, born and raised.
Nice.
So.
I love that. And so now moving on from just creating the feature films, you guys do a lot of short films.
Yeah.
And you like to highlight a lot of the local ones where people will see for the first time. And this is your Backyard Theater Festival. Now, this is the third time you've been doing it, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have our Backyard Theater Festival. It's coming up here. This is our first one that is open sort of really to the public. And,
really? So the first two kind of a test runs with friends, with everyone making them? We call it the Finley Mimbles Backyard Theater, or just the Backyard Theater. And the idea is it's sort of, again, kind of what we were just talking about, the sort of like Weird Elephant or, just like a local film festival, something a little bit smaller, really not honestly a film festival. It's almost like a showcase, something that we've been working on for like only the past few months. Okay.
And so we kind of invite a lot of our friends, again, sort of since Village of Middle Vale, we've very much accumulated a lot of creatives, and everyone kind of has their own ideas, and it's like we kind of got to the point where we just wanted to make so much all the time that it was like we need to make our own thing to just sort of like, it helps so much as a filmmaker to really get your stuff out there and to have like that venue where we could just be like, here it is. This is what we've been working on.
You want people to see it. And it was even with our buddy Ken, who did Penny Palabras. He ended up renting out the Blue Mouse Theater that I just talked about to have it shown on the big screen because he wanted it shown on the big screen. And he filled it up and, got tickets and people paid for it. And that's like, it's fun for that because it's one thing to show it to all your friends and family, but I think it's a lot more fun when you can say, hey, public, come check this out. Come see the things that I've been making and see what we've been doing in Tacoma. And you guys are doing this, and this is happening January 5th at the Alma Mater, which is I haven't even been there yet.
Me neither, man.
Oh, it's great.
That's all we hear is good things about them, man.
Yeah, it's really
everybody.
Beautiful.
And so these are projects that you've put together, these short films, or they're short films, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Wanna talk about it, Amber?
they're kind of there'll be a variety of genre. Like we'll have some music videos, some comedies. Usually sometimes most of them are comedies, but
Comedy seems to be a lot easier to do in short form.
Yeah.
I've noticed. One of the things that was interesting, just looking through Finley Mimbles on the website and just kind of browsing and stalking a little bit. There was 2 movies on there that I saw that I thought were great. The first one was The Other Me, which was, I thought it was just a really neat take on that sort of, on the, like a duplicate or like a clone sort of situation where a guy sees a clone of him and just how he reacts to it, and then vice versa, how the other one does as well. And it was a fun little piece on that one. And then the one that really got me, I just was cracking up on, was Dream Police, which tell us a little bit about that, because I thought that was really fun. Like I thought the movie was fun. It was a short little thing, but it, again with comedies, it kind of goes in with that. But I thought it was great.
So Dream Police we actually made for the 253 film competition in Tacoma. So we've been doing that like every year for years.
Is that the short one? The one they give you like so many hours?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get 72 hours to make a movie.
Yeah, 72 hours. Like, yeah, right? I mean, we're talking about how much hard work it takes to, make a feature length, but making any sort of movie from concept to creation to finality in 72 hours, like, that in itself seems, I mean, hectic isn't the right word.
Yeah.
But it's just like the first word that comes to mind when I see
Seems like
that.
72 hours.
Oh,
of
it
no
is
sleep,
hectic.
right?
It's completely hectic. We don't sleep.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's a complete insanity. And again, we just have that like great support group of friends that are just ready to go. And
So how many, so you decide you're going to do this. Is it literally like you start countdown timer, bing, and then you just start planning it? Or how does that work?
yeah, so they bring you in. You're not allowed to get any of the requirements right until they were like, all right, so it's beginning. They hand out all of the things you get. You get them all at the same time. They give you a little bit of time to ask them questions about what you.
So they give you parameters
Yeah,
on
so
like
there's
what you
usually
need?
4 parameters that
Okay.
they give you. For example, it might be like a location, a prop that you need to use, a line of dialogue, and then something else. They kind of change from year to year, but I guess it's the authenticity of like you definitely made this movie for this thing.
Yeah.
And then it's also kind of fun to see the sort of how each film uses those different requirements. And
Do you remember the parameters for Dream Police?
Let's see.
we always forget the 4th one, but
We needed a dream.
Ah.
And
I think it was a dream sequence. And then
gosh, actually, I'm forgetting.
line of dialogue.
There needed to be a chase.
Yeah, there needed to be a chase sequence.
Oh no, wait, that was the line.
Was it?
Yeah. It was
cut to the chase was actually the line.
Oh,
we
that's
used the
funny.
chase sequence.
Um,
And it's also, I think we forgot because it's like so many. I think there was a few other people that also used the like chase scene to get to the line. So
yeah.
it's interesting. Like you see who came up with the same.
Kind of that like
idea.
mentality. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you're given this parameters, and which people are going to use those specific ones, and then how they're going to use it. That's a lot of fun, and it was like I said, just like 72 hours to put it together. So you're like, okay, we've got these, we're going to figure it out, and it was a really fun way to take on different strange tropes. Like I love the fact that Dracula's in it. Not gonna lie.
Absolutely. Yeah. We really like the idea that he, in the film, is called Dracula. He's not ever called a vampire. No one ever calls him a vampire. They're always calling him a Dracula. Instead. I don't know. It's just
and it's funny because even it's 8:30 in the morning. Like, why is a vampire waking up? But it's like, but like you said, he wasn't called a vampire. He was just called Dracula. This is just the stuff that he does in his dream, and he dresses up like Bela Lugosi, and he's a little weird.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. It's an eccentric dreamer.
Yeah, no, we had a lot of fun on that one. So we try to come. I think, especially because our team is so big, we really try to get everyone in on the idea. It's really important that I think everyone in our group has a little bit of themselves in the script before we start writing, and I think that can be a very challenging thing. It's a very daunting task to sort of allow everyone to get a little bit of creative input into the project, but it's extremely important to our process.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense too, just in terms of, I mean, you've heard of the Too Many Cooks, but at the same point, you want everybody who is doing something for you in this to have the input at all, even just I mean, it's a collaborative effort. You don't want to have two people saying this is how it's going to go and just delegating all sorts of duties, because then it's not necessarily that community base that you're going to be wanting when you have a group of people like this.
Yeah, I feel like it helps make the idea more original too, because then you get weird mashups like Dracula with these police, and like Dracula I think was an entirely separate movie idea for a long time, like, oh, we should make a vampire movie, and then we're like, let's combine all these ideas and make something weird.
Yeah, no, I think it's another thing we really like about the 253, and the reason I think we sort of incorporated that feeling into our own little festival is just because it is such a short form sort of filmmaking experience that you really kind of just get it out of your system. You get something just out there, and again, kind of coming with that collaborative effort where we're all kind of putting our creative minds together to just make this like monstrosity of a little film in 72 hours. It just sort of like is very creatively freeing. You don't really have time to like second guess yourself on the process.
It almost made me like, it was like almost kind of like everybody gets their own jar of Play-Doh. And what you're doing is you're just smashing all of the colors together, and then you're creating whatever sculpture you are with everybody's Play-Doh. And we were just talking about how just getting it out there, sort of thing. We were, before the podcast, Scott and I were just, it was an Einstein quote or something you brought up?
I don't remember.
I know, I'm trying to, you've been drinking, so I'm trying to
get you on Einstein that. Quote. I don't remember that shit at all, dude. What are you talking about? Like, that wasn't me. That had to be somebody else. Was it a smart guy we had on before?
It was probably the engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. It was. He had made a quote. He was like, I want to use that quote. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good quote. And we don't remember it. We're not good at that. So anyway, back to your guys' Backyard Film Festival. And so it's kind of like that same along those lines. Instead of everyone smashing together for the 72 hours like you did with this one, everyone is kind of, I don't necessarily say getting paired off into teams or anything like that, but you're going with a group who has a mind for whatever short movie they're doing at this point.
Yeah, I think the 70... or it used to be called the 72 Hour, so I'm
sorry about that.
Yeah, continually call it that. But the 253 film competition, I think the reason we've stuck with it so long is that it really does. Again, it kind of gets that creative energy going and the momentum, and it just feels like, whoa, we just pumped that out in a weekend. Let's do another one. And I feel like we really kind of felt that way, and we got to a point in our sort of our lives where we're all just like, we're all creatively constipated. We just need a canvas
just to do that.
Just get it out.
Yeah, once a year wasn't enough, so we're like, all right, we'll just have to make our own.
Yeah, and I feel like giving ourselves a little bit more time, a couple months, you can sort of work that into our busy lives. People have day jobs and whatnot. We're not.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, especially with what everyone, like a lot of people are doing in Tacoma, unless you're managing to use a creative space to utilize a lot of that, you're not going to have access to all this film stuff all the time, or you're going to have your your whole normal lives, like your normal jobs. Like most people, like Scott. I mean, well, never mind.
Not me.
Yeah,
Other
yeah.
people. Not me.
But everybody's going to have to work all around that, and you want to make it a passion, but you also don't want to burn yourself out on it either. So if you have like the 3 months, I couldn't see doing the 72-hour thing more than like once a year. I
honestly,
personally, I couldn't even see doing it at all.
Yeah,
because I get a big old stress bug when it comes to that.
We have been in positions where I feel like every time we do one, we're like, why don't we do one next weekend? Or like, why don't we just do a month where every weekend is this thing? We've had so many iterations of like this idea, I think, and that is just too much.
Yeah, right. You don't want to necessarily bring yourselves out, but
Yeah.
doing this now with the backyard film festival, it is something that you definitely plan on doing frequently, like every quarter or so, or how do you guys feel about it?
We're still figuring it out, but
I understand that. Yeah.
I think, oh gosh, I don't know. Every time we kind of been like, do we need more time? Is this too tight? But right now we were thinking the 3 times a year, but then maybe doing sometimes where we do like a best of once a year.
yeah, so
To squeeze it in there.
quarterly, and then like the last quarter would be possibly a best of, or like
nice. Yeah,
another
year's best
curation,
or
because
something like
I
that.
feel like some people just can't make it to
Mhm.
these films, and it's like these are good. We do
You
like
guys are
them,
putting a
and
lot of effort
yeah,
into them, and just to have them be seen once.
one time. So,
Yeah.
So we could curate it in a different way, or like maybe the fourth one we do something weird, like we've talked about like doing just curating some of our old stuff.
But
in
if somebody
there.
misses like this January 5th one, there'll be ones further down the line.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you guys will be more than happy to be showing these on like YouTube and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
if people want to go check it out, they can go to Finley Mimbles, either the Facebook, any social media, and check it out that way. I mean, it's fun though, because you get to, like with anything, like when we had Josh Turner on for his music, or we
Yep.
have any of these people who are making the movies with like Ken and all of this. You can go back, and even if you've heard this podcast sometime later, like everything that I'm talking about is still out there, and you can see all the hard work that you guys are putting into it. And I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, I love it. I love that you guys are just throwing it out there. I love that you guys don't know how many you're going to do. You don't know how long you're going to do it. To me, that's perfect, because you can tell that you're just doing it because you want to, right? Like you have this buildup of art, and you're like, hey, we have to get this out to people. So to me, that's like it's coming from a really true place. I really like that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you very
gonna
much.
kind of landmine you guys with a question now.
Uh-oh.
What got you into wanting to do film and go to school to create films? Was it a movie in particular that says that was really cool, I want to make that, or what aspect got you into this business essentially?
It was
this hobby?
Aliens. I loved Aliens.
You haven't done
Ridley
anything.
Scott.
I mean, I like Aliens as well, but
Yeah, who doesn't? Amber probably has a completely different answer than mine, but
I would hope so.
Yeah, we do a lot of the things, a lot of films together. But yeah, we are two different people. I always break this up, I think, because we have a lot of filmmaker friends. They all sort of got in it for a different reason, and they're all a lot of them are attracted to different parts of the process. Screenwriters or whatever. And I kind of break it up into sort of two groups where some filmmakers kind of come from the school of literally just using a camera in their backyard. They have no idea that, like, we're not coming from an artistic background. We're just like, this is really fun. We have a camera in our backyard. It has nothing to do with like being inspired by watching Star Wars or something like that. It's like really it's just coming from this like very pure like,
I want
this is
to
really
create.
fun in my backyard.
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
my friends and we're just making a film, and I think that's kind of where I came from.
Nice.
A lot of podcasts start that way too.
Yeah.
What I've heard.
Well, that's a good point, because I remember making my grandmother had an old VHS VCR camcorder, and we were just making dumb movies, me and my buddy, and we made those. So no, that's actually a absolute
I wish
legitimate,
it was
like,
I wish it was like more of a artistic or like a more intelligent, perhaps a little bit more.
It's that's more. I think it's more
Yeah.
pure because it's an emotion. You're having fun doing
yeah,
this.
It's very infantile to come at it from that way, but that's certainly how I fell in love. It was like ever since I think like maybe third grade, I had been making sort of films with video cameras in the backyard that were just absolute garbage, but it was just like something magical and
Yeah.
literally forcing my family to sit down and watch these like really long tapes that I had made, and didn't know how to use the camera in the beginning. There would be long gaps in the tape, like the tape would continue rolling, and when I would like fast forward or like rewind to try to tape over something, I would
Yeah.
go too far, or I'd go too far the other direction, and there would literally be
Oh,
gaps.
I love it.
And I'd be like, the next part is coming.
It's coming,
Everyone,
don't worry."
Don't worry. Yeah, it's coming. It's going to be great when it gets here. Yeah.
Oh, that's just perfect. Yeah. No, because again, it's the creating thing. I remember dinking around with little, like I said, the camcorder, but like tape recorders, just having fun with it, making like chipmunk
Yeah,
sounds.
that's how you find out the things you love, right?
Mhm.
Like people, if you start drawing one day, you're like, oh, I really like this, or painting, or whatever, recording things, right?
Mhm.
Hanging out with your buddies,
Yeah, I
so
think-
like, oh,
Yeah,
whatever.
the art comes later.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
that came later for me.
Amber, did you have a moment like that, or was it like a movie or something that made you decide?
Were you hanging out with him in the backyard, same video camera? You guys are like, we've been friends since we were kids.
No, nothing like that. Well, I started in the theater.
Mm.
I was a theater kid for a while, so I did like acting in theater, and then I was kind of was like always a storyteller, so I quickly got into directing plays and like writing my own plays.
Oh, nice.
But then I was kind of frustrated that like that's all I could do was just on the stage. My ideas were always bigger than that, and I was also doing some photography at the time. And then my dad actually was kind of a film video person. He makes like documentaries, so I think he kind of influenced me. And then once I was like,
Yeah?
oh, this is way better than the theater. I can make anything I want.
And that's like creating the sets for Middlevale. It's not like creating theater sets. It's because it's like those are their standard all the time, and other than moving them with the movie, like you can use camera tricks, or not even camera tricks, but just ways that the camera. There's bigger words.
Yeah, I
and
don't
better
know. I
words.
didn't go to theater school. Maybe we should ask some people that did go,
Yeah.
if we knew any.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, still today, like, my favorite part of filmmaking is building sets, building props, making costumes. Like, most of the costumes in Middlevale I helped make.
Really fun.
Yeah, Amber was kind of our head costumer, as well as co-director, as
As
well
as
sound
boom
recordist.
holder.
And that's just like the necessity breeds that. I mean, it's like, well, we need people to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not doing anything right now. I guess.
I don't know why we had the shortest person on set holding the boom, though.
It's
Probably
because
wasn't.
So how does that work?
Amber's a lot harder working than I am. I can only handle one job at a time. Very distracted.
So what's it like co-directing a feature length on that point? Like, was it just due to time, like doing separate things for like shoots and such, or just another collaborative effort for the movie?
I mean, luckily we had worked together a lot before that, and then so we kind of had an already system of, I don't know, things we're better at, and
You
so
already
we
knew
kinda
each other's
balance
like
each other
dirty
out.
names to call each other, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
curse words.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look, do you see this face?
Yeah,
this
no.
is my
This
serious face.
one.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, yeah, Amber and I have a definite like system of communicating without words on
Excellent.
set.
Just middle fingers and gestures.
Yeah. I suppose everyone has those.
Yeah, they do.
So having created in Tacoma for 10 years just together, and doing even beyond that, what are some of the things that you found in Tacoma that you love about Tacoma when making films? We have some beautiful locations, I know that, but I mean, it's just there's got to be more than that, because you guys are more than happy to stick around here and continue to making fun films.
Well, I really love that we can kind of get away with filming anywhere without needing a permit.
Yeah,
Nice.
it seems to work. Do that little guerrilla style there.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I was just, I think I was just in the car on the way here, and I was just driving down the street and being like, oh, I filmed there. I filmed that in that alley over there. And I think that also the weird thing about filming is that you become weirdly intimate with that location.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just an alleyway. It's like I've spent several hours in that alleyway.
That's
you know,
funny, man.
Yeah.
The same thing for us. And it sounds weird, but like Odd Otter, before they
Yeah.
opened, we went in and interviewed them before they were a business, right? And I feel like I'm part of their business. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know the owner.
Yeah.
In a lot of places, like
Mhm.
Malarkey's is another one, right?
Yeah,
Like
well.
we spent hours in the back of Malarkey's,
Mhm.
right? And I feel attached to that
Yeah,
place,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So
strange.
I
You
get it.
just you get those memories attached. And I think that's why I continually point it out. I'm not trying to be like snooty about like I filmed there and
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like no, I'm
But you're
actually
excited. You're
fondly
legitimately- yeah.
looking back at like that.
Well, and that's like even coming down to the Union Club. We've been recording here since about summer, and it's fun because I like talking about like, hey, like bring my wife down here just to take a look at it because Tacoma has a weird old history.
Dude.
So you've got some of the beauty.
I made them walk through the whole building.
Okay,
when
yeah.
they came
Oh,
in,
yeah.
I was like,
What
"Oh,
we
you
do,
haven't
we
seen
gotta
it?"
give the tour because it's a co-working space built out of a house that was built in 1888. I promise you, there are ghosts in here.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fun and it's creepy and it's spooky until you're sitting in the bathroom and the lights go off because you're spending too much time in there. Sorry, it's
Hasn't
really
happened to
creepy.
anybody else,
It
so,
happens to me. I know. I gotta stop taking my phone in there. But it's one of those things where it's got a personality all of its own. And
Yeah.
if you don't want that, they've got updated areas and stuff like that. But in Tacoma, you can go down to the Stadium High School where my wife went and saw Tupac. Their Tacoma Urban Performing Arts Center. I did it.
Job.
I
Nice.
did it. Didn't have too much booze there. To watch their Nutcracker. Where it's like, oh yeah, we get to go to the place where they filmed a whole bunch of movies, and we're like, yeah, everyone knows that.
Oh, stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah,
stadium.
because
Yeah.
it looks like Hogwarts, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's the Tacoma's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Like
It is.
we were driving down. What street did we drive down today? When I was like, oh my god, I love the view. Every time we drive
Oh,
down it.
Pacific. Yeah,
driving
going
into Pacific.
all the way down.
Dude, and then out here on the balcony, you see the port. It's
Oh,
just-
yeah.
it's got the neatest. Like it might not be how do you put it? Like it's a dirty port. I don't want to say it's dirty, but there's like it's industrial.
Industrial,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
you look
yeah.
out there and it's awesome.
And
it's
like for
just an
filmmakers,
awesome-
that's got to
Oh,
be
yeah.
fun, just because
Yeah.
everywhere
Absolutely.
there's like different settings for everything.
Yeah, there's I was location scouting for a short that we were working on, and just even going downtown to just downtown Tacoma, like there's specific shots where you're just like, I look like I'm in a city right here
Mhm.
in Tacoma, but then if I go over there, it's like suddenly I am in the woods, I'm in a forest, I could be
Yeah.
anywhere. So it's very fun. It's just all of the stuff's in our backyard. We just kind of get to play. I think just play pretend all
I'm-
over the town.
I'm new to like the Pacific Northwest, and I always joked when I first came up here. I was like, everybody looks like they're ready to go on a hike, right? Like, everybody just always looks like they're ready to bust out a hike.
Because you can.
Yeah.
That's what Brogan always. He's like, you can just like whenever you want.
Yeah, like literally, you can go to the mountain. Like it's not that long of a drive.
Right.
So
It's true.
it's kind of crazy. You can go different from that. And
You can
it's-
find a park in town. Like I know around Puyallup, there's parks that you can just wander through, and you can't. You forget you're in the city, dude. You're just
Really?
yeah. You're in the middle of.
Nice.
It feels like nowhere.
Well,
man.
Puyallup is the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's a
there's
whole
like nothing.
20 miles away from here.
Yeah.
Growing up in Tacoma, we didn't go to Puyallup. It was too far away. It was just like you don't want to go out to the country, like, and we didn't go to Seattle because Seattle was way too much of a city. Like we would go up to the Ave because we knew one place we would go to, and it was a nerdy place, and we don't need to talk about that. We can talk about it when Brogan gets back on there with that. But
Aw.
guys, seriously, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Again, Finley Mimbles. It's very easy to search on Facebook. Just Finley, FINLEYMIMBLES. We've got all the links and
Great,
everything on
yeah.
all of our stuff. Again, we've got some really fun stuff coming up in the coming months. We've got a sweet logo from the Shroom Brothers
We do.
that will have some T-shirt designs with us as well. Very excited for all of that, so keep an eye out and go check out the Shroom Brothers stuff as well. Buy their hoodies because they're really good.
Buy all their stuff because it's really
Yeah.
cool.
It's so good that people broke into.
Oh,
Yeah, did you
Place-
guys see that?
no.
Oh, you know who
it's so
Shroom Brothers
bad.
are?
Yeah.
Okay, so they had a shirt. Where was it?
The narwhal.
Yeah, near side of Narwhal. They had a shirt in the window, and it had been there so long. He said it was faded from the sun, and someone broke the window and only stole the shirt.
It's like
It's shitty, but it's still kind of cool because
it's a Tacoma thing. You're like, all right, that's kind of neat that you did that. But hey, guys, how about you
got
just
that shirt?
yeah? How about you just go on Etsy and you buy it and put it in your own window, and then you wait a little while to do that.
It'll be on Etsy again, I'm sure.
But yeah, seriously, if anybody else wants to contact you guys about anything going on or any of those efforts, just check out the sites and then get a response that way.
Wow, you just went a whole circle on the I don't know what just happened.
I know. So yeah, just the
That
social.
was a weed drink, bro.
It was really good. It was really good. I was just trying to go back to just find them on the old Facebook and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
Facebook.
If you can remember
Yeah,
how to
right.
spell her name.
Hopefully,
Mimbles.
the backyard theater will become more and more easily Googleable and.
That's not the worst thing we've had on though. We did the who's the improv people McGraw Zoo. Yeah, we had
those
them
are.
on.
We know those
You
guys.
guys
know
know
those
those guys?
guys.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh no, we
Yeah.
can't
We
make
work
fun
with
of
those
them.
guys.
I already did.
Oh,
Don't
No,
worry,
they
it's just
were
Scott.
actually they did a couple of episodes with us. At least one,
Nice.
but then
Oh,
the
awesome.
Yes Works, that it's kind of half of them. Yeah, they came on. I think 2 episodes before.
Oh,
so
fun! Yeah,
Yeah, all those guys are great.
we get deep roots.
We
we love all the Tacoma
yeah.
creative groups.
Well,
Everything.
yeah. Also, Isaac Olson. You guys have had him
Yeah,
on here. We
yeah.
work with Isaac a lot on projects.
Dude,
We've
he's
worked
awesome.
on.
He is great. Like seriously, the Girl Trouble documentary is fantastic. It was one of those things that I watched. I think like prepping for it like twice in a row, and
Yeah,
then I
it's
was like,
great.
I had to tell everyone to watch this.
Yeah, but what a super cool guy too, right?
Yeah.
like you're just so nice. You talk to, and he's just super nice.
And that was actually I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I saw the Facebook invite for this, and I was like, yep, perfect. Boop,
You
boop.
know, actually, he texted us. He gave us a sweet text before we came on.
Oh, he
here.
warned you?
Really?
He was like, hey, good luck on the podcast, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, well, tell him, give him a hi for both of us. And if people want to go back and listen to that episode, I really think you should as well, because he was a great guest on that. That was
I love that he warned you. That makes me so happy. Oh. That's great.
Amber, Nathan, thank you guys so much
Yeah,
for
thank
being
you.
on with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool.